Hi, everybody. Welcome back for another Parent Pivot podcast. I am one of your hosts, the one that is we're both co-hosts, Steve Cummings.
And I'm Julia Cummings.
I was trying to set up my wife in a more spectacular way. My brain just couldn't get there and stuff like that. But anyway, welcome back. We're here to help parents pivot from being that parent to a partner. And I have no idea what we're talking about today.
Yeah, Steve's had a busy week and a tough week. Last week I'm actually going to be talking about a specific verse today. Last week I woke up one morning and the weather is getting to me. We had tons of rain. It's finally sunny, but of course it's like 90 something now.
Yeah, we're in the mid 90s and humidity. It's like, it's more than I wanted.
So here I am in my tank top from working out today. I look yucky. So those of you who are just listening, you'll probably be glad because I'm all sweaty and gross. But anyway, I woke up and I just was kind of like, Lord, what do you have for me today? Because I'm just not feeling it. And I found this verse on this little card that was handed out at church probably over a year ago. And it was stuffed in my Bible. And this is just what I have been thinking about all week. And with the week that Steve had, it's very apropos, actually. So I'm going to do some reading and then talking about how this relates to you as a parent of adult children.
And a partner of adult children.
Partner of adult children.
Helping you pivot.
Yes. So this is Colossians 3:12. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. So the first part of this, it's like a little devotional. So it says, who you are should inform how you behave. Who you are. You belong to God. Did you hear that? He wants you. He loves you dearly. And he has set you apart, made you holy for his purposes. And God has done all of this through Jesus. In Jesus, God has shown you compassion by not leaving you in your sin, but saving you from it. More than that, he has poured out every kindness on you in Christ, who humbly bore your punishment on the cross, gently tended your wounds, and brought you home, forgiving all your wanderings. And he patiently walks with you each day, setting your feet back on the right path again and again. This is who you are, chosen, holy, dearly loved. The second part is, so be who you are. If this is who you are, if God himself has treated you with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, then you can live like who you are. Show the compassion you've been shown. Shower kindness on the undeserving, knowing you didn't earn it either. Consider yourself with honest humility. Gently bear with the shortcomings of others, finding patience for their repetitive patience for the repetitive failings. When you love like this, you are being who you are, chosen, holy, dearly loved.
I love that.
Great verse.
Yes.
The piece that comes together with us pivoting is sometimes our adult children aren't acting very adult.
No.
Sometimes they aren't speaking to us. Sometimes they are hardened. Sometimes they repeat things over and over and over again and never learn. Sometimes they're in prison. Sometimes they have cheated on a spouse. Sometimes they've done drugs. Sometimes they have done things that have hurt you or said things that have hurt you. And this is true of our adult children. It's true of our younger children. It is true of anybody in our life. Relationships can be hard. And I appreciate the fact that God saw fit to teach us, to show us in his word that how to handle it. And the words, of course, I'm going to say them again: compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And he uses the word clothe yourselves. And So when I think of that, I think how I get up in the morning, I take my shower, and I get dressed. And what am I putting on my body is for everybody to see, but what I am putting on inside to deal with the world and how it is and how others behave. I need to clothe myself in these attributes.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, guilty and things. You know about my rough week that I've had, and we don't need to go into that. But I think as I hear those verses, I mean, compassion, kindness, humility, all those things. Do I have moments of that? Yeah, it's something. But sometimes there's stuff that's beneath the surface for me, and I might not be aware of it. That's poked at me. And then when all of a sudden that instance comes up, that's not my knee-jerk reaction to go to how I'm clothed. I'm like, I can get hurt, I can react, I can do a whole bunch of things, but that's usually not my first thought as a human. And guess what? I want to give us the freedom to be able to say, parents, partners, we are human.
Yeah.
And we want to respond better to our adult kids. We're making this lifestyle change of pivoting. And I was just reminded this last week in one of my meetings, when you hear the Bible verse, leave and cleave, that comes down to, that's the verse. We've all heard it a million times.
Yeah.
That verse comes down and it's for the couple. But guess what? That couple is our adult kids. They're supposed to leave us and cleave to the person,
to someone else.
So right there in the very beginning of the Bible, the unspoken people that are in that picture are mom and dad wanting their kids to leave and cleave. And now things have transitioned. I've had so many conversations this week on that, without you knowing this, that just talks about, hey, if we want to be intentional partners, and intentional grandparents, we need to make the change. And I think your verse that God put in your heart this week is spot on, to think about those different things of having compassion, because there may be something. I'm just, as I'm hearing that, this is how well we work off the podcast together. It's like I have no idea what we're talking about. Then when we start talking about it, I've got something. But maybe your adult child or adult child-in-law is going through something that you disagree with. I just heard I need to clothe myself with compassion and kindness and humility. And then if this has happened over and over and over again, the other thing I need to clothe myself with is patience. If I'm not thinking that way when I get up in the morning, just like you mentioned, I get out of the shower, I'm physically putting on, all the different things that we wear. I don't need to go into detail.
Not necessary.
But if I'm not thinking, hey, Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, I don't want to go sideways today. Help me think of this verse. I want to clothe my heart with all these things so that when something that I don't expect or something that comes in turns me sideways, I already have when you're clothed, you're covered up.
Yeah.
You're covering up your nakedness. You're not that there's anything wrong with our nakedness, but where I'm going with is like we want to cover up and not hide, but I want to present my best to the people that I'm going to come in contact with. Why? Because second commandment. Gosh, if we just love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love others as we love ourselves, and that is our adult kids and in-law kids and grandkids, then everything else kind of falls in behind that. So that's how I'm kind of hearing that.
And I just want to say, if you are a non-believer who happened upon this podcast and
welcome,
you're curious, this verse can apply to you too. It's something it's a piece of wisdom. And who can argue with the words of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience?
I think when you hear those words, you also then go, I want to aspire to that.
Yeah.
I want to run into people like that, and I want to be that type of person, no matter what your faith might look like.
Yeah. And I will say, I'm actually way better at this, probably like with my kids than I even am with Steve. I'm better at it with my kids than I am with people out on the road or people in
I'm gonna raise my hand to that one.
Or the grocery store, or when you're waiting in line and you're just frustrated because the line's so long and one person's working.
And the grocery store parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, just all kinds of things. Every day we're faced with some frustration, and our first reaction is not, how do I love this person? How do I show humility? And humility is such a hard thing. And so to come before your kids who perhaps have hurt you and to put that hurt away and have a conversation with them that is humble and not prideful and is filled with compassion and kindness and patience.
Yeah. I'm thinking back to, and I won't go into details so you can trust me on this one.
Yeah.
Thinking back to just even an email we got yesterday, just a situation that really tore your heart out. And it's like, man, I really want to help this couple. And I'm not going to go into details about that. And I'm sitting there thinking, how would I handle that and look at that? But again, this is such a great verse. I remember for me, someone pointing out this verse to me about and stopping me, holy and dearly loved. And he made me repeat that, I think 5 or 6 times. Holy and dearly loved. I'm going, he goes again, holy and dearly loved. I was like, and so I was stuck in my head saying, I read it right. Why do you ask me to do it over and over again? Because he's trying to get me to poke it in here going, hey, dearly loved. I'm not in competition for love on this earth because I am chosen and I'm dearly loved by the Father, by Jesus, by the Holy Spirit. And I think just with that alone, if you sit in that going, isn't that amazing? Then the clothing piece becomes a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
If I don't sit and believe that I'm dearly loved by the Father, at every moment of the day, even when I mess up,
right,
I am dearly loved and I'm chosen. That never changes. And until I can believe that and live from that, it's harder to put these clothes on.
Yeah.
These spiritual clothes to be able to love others well.
Right.
And that's really, God's like going, can't we all just get along? John chapter 17. I want them to all love each other well. It's all about unity.
Yeah.
Obviously, you flip on the TV right now and this world is not loving each other well. And we all know what I mean by that and what's going on. But that's where my mind goes to.
Yeah. I had a thought while you were talking and now I lost it.
Should I keep talking?
It's like old person brain.
Clothing, dearly loved, believing that.
Oh, the thing I was going to say is that if you are a parent of adult children,
which they should be, otherwise wouldn't really want to listen to
this. That's true. If you have not experienced an earthly father who loved you, it is really hard to turn around. Loved you in the way that you need to be loved. I don't doubt that our earthly parents love us on some levels. Some of them don't know how. So if you are one of those that your father or mother fell short in this area, it becomes very difficult, partially because it wasn't modeled for you, but it becomes very difficult to change that trajectory when you are parenting with your children.
Right.
So you may have developed bad habits when your kids were growing up, and those habits may still be in place. You may be trying to change them, which is why you're listening to this. But I just want to say the big piece of this verse is, as Steve was saying over and over again, is that you are dearly loved by a father. And somehow we have to learn to embrace that. We need to allow that to settle in ourselves and really just believe it.
Well, and without going into a whole lot of detail, for me, taking an introspective look and step back on just that one piece.
Yes.
And mind you, spend a lot of money on therapy. Okay. But I chose to do that because I wanted to get to a space to be and feel and be known that I'm chosen and dearly loved, because I couldn't understand it here, or at least I believed it theologically here, but I didn't experience it here. And there's a whole unpacking of stuff that I had to go through. Maybe someday we'll share our stories or something on the podcast, but really that leads to being a good partner to pivot well.
Mm-hmm.
If it seems too painful, or no, I don't want to go there, or have the absence of fatherly or motherly love, our hearts go out to you. We have had that experience, maybe not in the exact same dynamics or terms, but we can relate to that.
Every family has it.
Yeah, I have not been a perfect father. And part of this pivot to become those partners, even when we have not done it well, and I don't think there's a single father out there that's like, hey, I've been a perfect father. Where's the humility here? When we can, like we've talked about this over and over again on our podcast, when we can own our behavior because our kids have seen it and experienced it, that goes a long way toward healing. Is it going to change your relationship overnight? No, but a continued heart of clothing yourself with kindness, compassion, humility, gentleness, and patience, and continued that over time as you're spending time with them and loving them, forgetting about circumstances, experience, whatever, but just focusing on the relationship with that, you're going to make leaps and bounds with them going, oh, wow, mom and dad have changed and things. And I think as a couple, you can kind of say, you know what, let's work on this with ourselves together. We don't want to be that mom and dad that they don't want to be in contact with, or they don't want to have a relationship with. Because again, we say this all the time, you can be in relationship and you can be right, but you can't do both. So take a step back. This verse is a great practical verse. Therefore, in other words, Paul's talking about something else to the Colossians. I have to look at the context of it, but he gets to this and says, hey, this is the answer to all the stuff that I was talking about. So in the same way, we want to say, hey, all those things and consternations and things that are getting you flustered or upset about my adult children, I want to say to y'all, therefore.
Yeah. We preached it.
It was your idea. I had no idea we could talk about this.
And I don't have much more to say. I do just want to reiterate a couple things. I want to read the verse again. Go for it. I can see you. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves. My mouth is just blah. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Again, that's Colossians 3:12. And you can just look it up online. And, if you don't have a Bible, it's pretty easy.
For me, what I would do is if this moved you, this is just one idea. And we've done this before, is, print this out, put it on your mirror as you're getting ready in the morning. Because for me, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Yeah. And we've actually done this before where we put things up about who we believe we are. Yeah. Little Post-it notes. And it's like, if I'm just going through the routine, I got to jump in the shower, I got to brush my teeth, get dressed, shave, whatever we're going to do, then I'm out the door. And it's like, I'm going to forget about it tomorrow. And maybe after the time this podcast is over, it's like, okay, that was nice. Thanks, Stephen, Julia, blah, blah, blah. But if you really want to let God help you feel this way, take it and put it on your mirror or on wherever you're going to be every day, on your refrigerator, wherever you go every day, that you're going to see it. And it's going to be a reminder to you. That's just a suggestion. I'm not saying, I don't want to be a Sunday school teacher here, but I need that reminder constantly to be able to implement that, especially when it comes to clothing myself. I don't want to be naked. I don't know any of us that want to be naked. It's like,
So the two things, know who you are and be who you are. And those are important things to remember. That's pretty much all I got.
That's a big gold nugget. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. For the summer, as I was looking at our schedule, we have a lot of things that we're going to be in and out of. And so what we did last summer was we took the best of over the last year and a half of where the episodes that people are listening the most to. And as you saw last week, we did a best of. We re-aired our interview with our daughter-in-law, Ashley, who is now mom of one. Little Zion. And things like that. There are a lot of people listen to that story, but there's a lot of good podcasts of things where we go back to. So if you haven't listened to all of them or you're going through them one at a time, great. But we've got a lot coming up. We are going to be now. So the impetus for our podcast, if you're listening for the first time, was a book by
Jim Burns
called
Doing Life with Your Adult Children. Keep your mouth shut and the welcome mat out.
So we wrote a little small journal that's available on Amazon. And the first thing I did was I sent my friend Jim Burns an email. I said, "This is your fault." And he goes, "You guys have a little book out?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Great. I'm going to put you on the Homeward podcast." So we're excited about that. We're going to record with Jim this week. I have no idea when it's going to air, but we'll let you know. And we're all on the same page. We're grandparents. We have adult children. We're learning by his lead and going, "Yep, this makes great sense." We've been invited to be a part of the summit at the Legacy Coalition, and we're coming back again next year. And we're along for the ride. So wherever God keeps opening up doors, we're going to go, okay, so we have no idea what to expect. But if you, when we find out, we'll let you know about that. So that's one thing we're excited about and things. And so continue to listen to us. It really helps us out if you share us and rate us on all your social media. Everything is under Parent Pivot Podcast.
And I'm assuming that if you are listening to this, that you probably know other people who need to listen. So please share it with your friends who are going through the similar things. If you haven't picked up Jim Burns' book, because I don't think we've talked about it in a while. We haven't talked about it in a while. Please pick it up. It's such a great, helpful tool. Another one is the one by Jill Savage, the Empty Nest book by Jill Savage. Those are both tremendous books to pick up if you're new to all of this. And
I would put us out there to say this too. We are open for speaking engagements. So if your church is doing some type of parenting conference and they don't have any subject matter around parents for adult children, which many of them don't, we're happy to figure out how God's going to get us to whatever destination and be a part of that and things. So be thinking about that and let us know. Send us an email, parentpivotpodcast@gmail.com. And then on all the social media platforms, find us at Parent Pivot Podcast. And then I don't know if we'll be back with new content next week or not. It depends on when Jim's podcast is going to air, because maybe he'll share that with us and we'll air that here too as well. Or it's next week's 4th of July week, huh? Yeah.
Well, no, wait.
Next weekend. It is next weekend.
Yeah, it's next Friday.
Maybe not.
Like a week.
Anyway,
from this Friday.
Keep listening. We love the fact we're here to do ministry. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you say, "Hey, this really resonated with us," we want to hear that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube. Do the same thing on your podcast platform. Make a comment and things. We'd love to respond to that. And anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, here's our traditional send-off. Thanks for listening to the Parent Pivot Podcast.
Bye.